Hello, my friends. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital. And I want to thank you for the privilege of listening to these podcasts, because I do them from the bottom of my heart to try to give you information that I hope you find very valuable. Thanks to the generosity of Truth Be Told Radio Network, we are able to come to you every week, every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we repeat the program every Saturday at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. But I want to tell you something that is even more important. You can go to Spotify and search Truth Be Told Radio Network, and you're going to be able to find a lot of podcasts like this that I hope you can enjoy, you can learn something from them, and the best to me would be if you follow me, if you share them, because I think it's important information that you can share to everybody that you love. And now that we're beginning a new year, now that we're beginning a new part of our lives, I think that it's time to think what we want to do in the future. And I want to remind you that disease does not occur overnight, particularly chronic degenerative disease, which is what's killing us. Cancer, heart disease, diabetes, etc. We have years to change the path. We have many years to prevent. We have many years to avoid it. Don't wait till the doctor tells you you have a deadly diagnosis. Make the change today. Start this time. This time of New Year's resolution would be the perfect time to shift the road to health and wellness. You have a friend, Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez. I'm available if you give me a call, if you click on the social media of your choice, Facebook, Twitter, etc., or if you go to our website. Ask any question, get information, educate yourself, and make sure that you and your family will have what I wish you most, a very healthy long life. Hello, how are you doing? This is again Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital, having a conversation with you. In this time I want to have a very level conversation because I want to talk about a very important subject which is very technical, of course with a lot of science around it, but I had a very good friend, Michael Colbert, who was a medical writer, and he wrote a lot of books about alternative medicine and about how medicine should be faced. And he always said, if you can explain a child something, then you know what you're talking about. And it is absolutely true. If you can bring everything you know to any folk level, then you understand what you're talking about. And this time that's exactly what I want to do. Those of you that know me know that one very important quest in my life, particularly at this stage in my life, is to share everything I have learned and everything I know with all of you. With all of you, because I know it can change your life. And it can change your life in a very important way, but the most important, in a very positive way. And we all can do it. And you don't need a doctor, you don't need a laboratory, you don't need a drug, you don't need anything. All you need is your own will to change things. And the beginning of a season, the beginning of a new year, the beginning of everything is the time to do it. Is the time to have the desire to do things different. And every time I review protocols and programs and diets and you name it, to how to be healthy, I always find that what they tell you is to make some changes here, some changes there, etc. And it's very frustrating because many times they will not work. And if they don't work, you don't feel well, you drop it. You might be going in the right direction, but you didn't have time or you didn't give it enough time. And let's face it, and I have to confess myself, mea culpa, that I'm the same way. If I try to lose weight and I don't get where I want to get, that makes you stop. You don't just say, oh, I will keep on doing it. No, we just drop it. So what I'm going to tell you about is to shift completely your mind. We're not talking about making small changes here and there. We're talking about shift the whole thing. Shift the path we're taking. And then you say, if the route that I have taken so far is going to take me to disease and expenses and suffering and pain and short life, and so on, why am I following it? And to make the sacrifice to make a different type of diet, to eat different things, etc., is so difficult. Well, then what I have to do is change my mind. If I go from soda to a diet soda, you're fooling yourself. If you go from a hamburger to a veggie hamburger, you're fooling yourself. We have to change. We have to sit down, review everything, go to your situation room, which is your dining table, and review everything you're doing and design a completely different path. And if you do that, if you can shift to that path, then you're going to find wellness and survival and health. And health equals enjoyment. So you're going to change your life. And in this quest to share everything I know, it's very important to listen. Because it's not only that I have to come sit here and tell you about this, about that, about the other, because you might not even be interested. You might say, why is the doctor talking about this thing if what worries me is this other? You see? So, to me, it's also equally important to listen, to hear your questions. That's why I ask you to contact me, to follow me, to send me an email, to send a question in the social media of your choice, to tell me what you think of what I say and what areas you'd love to see talked about when we do this podcast. And one of those people that were listening to one of my programs asked me a question. And that person happens to be very close to me because he's my grandnephew. He's the son of a niece. And he's 13 years old. And he started because of some things that he had seen in school. Thank God, finally talking about it. He saw a number of things about types of foods, etc., healthier eating. He was kind of puzzled, and then he asked the question. He says, what I cannot see is what's the relationship between broccoli and cancer. Because that's what they told me in school. But I don't see where the link is. And I thought that's a very legitimate question. Because every time we talk about these things, we always talk about things you should do. But we always, even as a doctor, we say it as your grandmother used to say it. Do it because it's good for you. But in this time and age, we need a lot more understanding. Because that understanding is going to be the foundation of our commitment to do something. And the result of a commitment is fantastic. So you have to understand what you want to do, because that's where you want to get. You want to continue on. You want to commit yourself. You want to engage in that different path to health. So I thought, if I don't give a good answer to this kid, he's not going to understand anything, and then he's going to just throw his hands up and say, oh, just one more story about do this because it's good for you. So that sent me to the drawing board. I had to find exactly how to explain the link broccoli, cancer, so he could understand it, he could commit himself, and probably, better yet, he might be able to tell some school friends why this is good, why this is important. So I have to start by the beginning. And the beginning is very simple. Even though we never talk about it, your doctors never talk about it, but it's very simple. We human beings consume a lot of energy. Life is fueled by energy. We need energy to think. We need energy to produce a heartbeat. We need energy to move the muscles. We need energy to keep the temperature of our body, because if we don't keep it at certain temperature, we're going to die. But sometimes outside, my nephew lives in Indiana. So in the winter time, it could be minus 30 degrees, yet his body has a continued good temperature inside. Why? Because just as he's home, he has a furnace where he's burning fuel. We all were provided with little furnaces in every single cell of our body. Those little furnaces are called mitochondria. And those mitochondria burn fuel all the time. They're the heaters. They're the steam producers. They're the energy sources that moves everything. Biochemical molecules, reactions, cell movements, muscle contraction, neurological information, brain activity, eyesight, everything is fueled thanks to the existence of these mitochondria that can burn fuel provided by what we eat. Like a factory, let's put that example, you're going to see a factory producing a lot of things and using a lot of energy. But if we go around the factory, we're going to find big cables that bring a lot of power, or trucks of fuel that's going to be burned in their furnaces. And those produce heat and movement and energy and everything. They spark the life of that factory. And we do the same thing. Our bodies need the food that we consume to be able to burn part of that food and create the energy that sparks life. What we use in general to produce that energy is glucose, which is a carb. It's a carbohydrate. It's a very simple molecule that's present in many of the foods that we eat, and that is very easily used as a fuel to produce energy. And when you do that, then you have the heat, you have the movement, you have everything. Now, when you consume these foods, you can produce the energy, you burn them out, but like in any combustion process, there are going to be side products that you don't like. It's like your car. It produces smoke, it produces carbon dioxide, etc. So we do. We produce carbon dioxide, we produce a number of things that they're not good for you, and one of them are called oxidative substances that are bad for you. But our body has a trick and knows how to deal with it. So stay where you are, because we're going to continue talking about now free radicals. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital, and I'm talking about the link between broccoli and cancer. Because a grandnephew asked me that question. And I thought this is a very important question, because we are always talking about antioxidants. I mean, turn on your TV, open any site, or read any magazine. Everybody that talks about food, nutrition, and so on, this is good and this is bad. Everybody talks about free radicals, and everybody talks about antioxidants. What are we talking about, and why are they important? So the question, broccoli to cancer, brought the opportunity to review this thing and say, I have to explain to the level of a 13-year-old person why antioxidants are important, and why without them, yes, we can go to cancer, and why with broccoli we can avoid cancer. Couldn't be simpler than that. And it is absolutely true. And we're going to go to the end, so you know that what I'm saying is true. We were saying that in order to function, in order to be alive, we needed energy in our body. Without energy, nothing works. We'd be cold. When we die, that's the first thing you see. I mean, you have seen it in the movies, you have seen in the whole thing. And then people go and say, well, because of the body temperature, we can tell that this person died so many hours ago. So what does that mean? That when the life ends, energy production stops. And that energy production is because we have little organs between each and every cell called mitochondria that burn fuel. And that fuel comes in the form of glucose, in the form of a carbohydrate. And when we burn it, we produce the things that we need, the energy that we need, and then we can spark life. But when we burn things, I mean, if you're going to do a barbecue, if you turn on the furnace in your house, if you start the engine in your car, any of those combustion processes are going to produce side products. And those side products might not be good for the body. They're actually harmful. And these substances are called oxidative species. But I don't want to be technical. Remember, I'm talking to a very young guy. So I don't want to be technical. So let's forget about these reactive species. Let's talk about simply oxidative substances. And oxidation, you know, oxidation is like rust. It's damaging. That's why you try to avoid oxidation at all costs. For example, in the hull of a big ship, we do things to avoid the rusting. So in the body, we have a lot of mechanisms. Remember, I have told you many times, we have a body that was created in perfection. Well, we have many systems that are going to take care of that oxidative substances threat. And those are called simply antioxidants. So an antioxidant is a system or a molecule or a substance that's going to neutralize or eliminate the activity of those oxidative substances. And they come in the form of enzymes, in the form of different molecules that mix with the substance that we want to get rid of. And one of the good things, bad and good things, is that these oxidative substances are very reactive. The problem is they might react with things we don't want to, like the genes in our cell. But the other advantage is that when we mix them with an antioxidant, they're readily connected, and then that substance stops being a threat. So the body has all these antioxidative substances and systems. So we're constantly getting rid of all these free radicals or oxidative substances that we produce in our everyday function. We just get rid of that. We eliminate them. We neutralize them all the time. And we function well. And we're happy, and we live long lives, many years, very successful, without too many problems. When do we start having problems? Let's think of equilibrium. Let's think of a balance. This is my oxidation level, and this is my antioxidation level. Let's say you have, in a scale of 1 to 100, 50% production of oxidative substances, but you have a 50% capacity of antioxidation. What's going to happen is they're going to neutralize each other, and you do not have any health problem. Now, two things might happen. One, you start producing too many free radicals. Your oxidation system might be getting worse and worse. And then your capacity to neutralize those free radicals is going to be overwhelmed. What do you have as a result? An oxidative body that's going to be threatened by these harmful substances. Because I said it, free radicals have the capacity to mix with a lot of things, and they can go to your DNA, and in the DNA they can change genes. They can change the expression of genes. Genes are very important because genes rule the formation of protein, the formation of enzymes, the formation of cells. So if the genes have the wrong information, let's imagine you have a car factory and you have a computer that tells the robot where to weld this or where to put this rivet. And all of a sudden, something comes in and changes the program. And then you weld the door. You will not be able to open the door anymore. That's a catastrophe for a car. You need a door to get in and to get out. But if it's welded, you cannot do it anymore. So if those free radicals damage your DNA, anything can happen. Because your DNA could change in a way that can produce a lot of problems. Now, when these antioxidants get to certain level, higher, they trigger a number of molecules that are going to trigger inflammation. And then you have two problems: the free radicals and an inflammatory response that's not produced by any specific damage, but by a substance you are producing in your body that you don't need in there. In other words, we are creating a real problem. something else could happen. Let's say that you have 50% production of antioxidants, but all of a sudden this goes back to 45 or 30, and what's going to happen? Even if you keep your level of free radical production, you don't have enough antioxidant substances to counteract, to neutralize the free radicals. So, in short, we need an absolute balance between the waste, between the free radicals we produce, and our capacity to cope with them. To be always level and to be always functioning very well. I'm going to tell you something that probably already in your own heart you know. A lot of the things that we know are bad for you. They're bad for you precisely for the same reason. Because they are heavy producers of free radicals. What is those? What is that? Cigarette smoking. Cigarette smoking raises the production of free radicals in a very important way. Alcohol consumption, overeating, obesity, overeating carbohydrates, when we eat just too much sugar, when we eat bad fats, all those substances are going to release, are going to change the way our cells work and are going to increase the production of free radicals. So we have to watch. You know, there's a saying that I have seen in many cities that says, the cleanest city is not the one you clean the most, it's the one you keep tidy. If you stop throwing garbage away, if you stop doing things like that, your city is going to look clean and beautiful. Not because you're cleaning it a lot, but because you're not ruining it with your garbage. Same with the body. The healthiest body might not necessarily be the one that has the best resources, but the one that's taken care of best. And there's where the word BioCare comes very handy. When you have the care for your body to make sure your biology works in a fantastic way. So let's think of that next time you do something you know it's not good for you. You're ruining a lot of things, and you might be changing one of your cells in the wrong direction. That sometimes can be catastrophic. So if you stay where you are and you continue listening, let's discuss that part, because that becomes worrisome. Stay there. You are with Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital. And we're talking about a simple subject. This is a question by a 13-year-old that asks, what's the relationship, what's the link between broccoli and cancer? And we started talking about how the body works. Because if we want to look for an explanation of the whole thing, we have to understand several simple things. One, the simplest, that life consumes energy, and that the body can produce that energy in tiny elements of every cell called mitochondria that work as a furnace, where we burn glucose and carbohydrates to produce the energy the body needs, the heat the body needs, spark life in one word. And we said that in that process we have the possibility of creating harmful substances that we are going to refer to as oxidants or free radicals. Very frequently you're going to find the word free radical. Well, these are the byproducts of the burning of carbs within the body. Now, the systems in the body can cope with those carbs, can cope with those oxidants, with those free radicals. They can eliminate them, they can neutralize them, they can get rid of them. But in order to do that, these systems will have a capacity to fight with them that has to be equal or higher than the amount of free radicals we produce. So, in order to keep everything good, we have to be able to cope with every single free radical we make in the body. Because we have this capacity to cope with them, we cannot exceed that capacity or we're going to be in trouble. We said that many of the things that we know are not good for you, in fact, raise the amount of free radicals that we produce. One of the worst is cigarette smoking. I always wonder, when are we going to stop that? And of course, a lot of the chemical thing that we are assaulted with, everything, many times in the food supply, it's filled with a lot of chemicals and a lot of things that we don't want. That's why smart food shopping is important. Alcohol drinking, a bad night's sleep, as simple as that. If we don't sleep well, we are going to have problems with free radicals because we're going to produce more. So it's important that we have good night sleep, restorative. We call it restorative. We should feel very well next morning. We should feel filled with energy next morning. If not, we're doing something wrong. Let's review that part. Contact me. I have a blog. I have answers for you, how to analyze what's happening and how can I correct my sleep pattern. And all these things are important. Eating the wrong foods, eating too much of something, particularly sugar, can produce a big amount of free radicals. So we have to make sure that we don't overproduce free radicals because we only can produce so much antioxidation. Now, the antioxidants, let's talk now about the other part. What are antioxidants? Antioxidants are substances produced in the body or provided by food, either or, that are going to connect to the free radical and they're going to click together like a key. It's going to enter that free radical, it's going to turn it off. But it has very specific chemical structure. And these antioxidants can do that, exactly that. They're going to be circulating in the body, and every time they find free radicals, they're going to neutralize them, and finally we're going to excrete them out of the body through the bile, through the urine, through the stool. And then we are living happily ever after. But remember, we just have to keep the balance between how much free radicals we produce and how many antioxidants we produce. What had happened with the antioxidant system? The antioxidant system is going to be based on two substances. I said it already. One, the antioxidants we produce in the body. Second, the antioxidants that are in the diet. Now, the problem is that the antioxidants that we produce in the body need substrates, need chemicals that come in our food. So whatever the case is, if we have a wrong nutrition pattern, we will not be able to have a good antioxidant system. Many of them are vitamins, like vitamin E. Vitamin E is a very powerful antioxidant. one of the best. And the other one is like omega-3s. Just to mention two of the ones that you probably have heard a lot of. Omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin E. There are many others, like vitamin C and carotenes, and all these vitamins can also have an antioxidant activity. But the problem is we don't eat them. Why? Because the biggest sources of these substances are in things we do not eat. Fresh, leafy vegetables, like chard, like spinach, like Brussels sprouts, like cauliflower, like broccoli, which is the beginning of the question. Broccoli is one of the most powerful in terms of antioxidant capacity. And I'm going to give you a hint that nobody will tell you. When you cook cruciferous, cauliflower, artichokes, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, when you cook these things, never immerse them in water, because you destroy the antioxidant capacity. Steam them or grill them, but don't put them in boiling water, because the boiling water will leach everything you want. So just steam them. Put them in a steamer. Be light. Don't be thorough. Another good advice. If you add mustard seeds, get a good mustard. One of those that has all the seeds in it. You know, you can almost get a threefold, fourfold amount of antioxidants, because mustard seeds increase the capacity of the antioxidant to be used in the body. And it's good, they go well together. So if you're going to prepare your broccoli, or you're going to prepare your all these things, use some mustard in it. If you like it, fantastic. If you're not, you're going to get the hang of it, and you're going to like the taste after a while. I had a very good friend that was a priest, and he always told me, you know what? All these things we use to cook, to season, originally were medication in the very old times. And garlic and onion and pepper and you name it, anise, all these things used to be medications for this or the other, and that's why they found their way into our food. And we cannot live now. I couldn't cook without garlic. I couldn't cook without nutmeg. I couldn't cook without pepper. So now they are part of our food for a good reason. And that reason originates from our feeling, from our brain, from our own body that says, this is good. Because then we can create a lot of antioxidants. Some of those substances might not necessarily be the antioxidant, but that's what your body will need to make the antioxidant. So one way or another, watching what we do with food is important. Another hint, arugula. Arugula has become very fashionable to make salads, and people treat it as if it were a lettuce. Well, it is not a lettuce. The good news, it's a cruciferous. So it can also have a very heavy antioxidant content. Once again, if you put your arugula, then you can put in a little thing, some lime juice, some olive oil, salt and pepper, and mustard with seeds. Mix it well and use it as a salad dressing. And there you have everything you need. You're going to be healthy. You're going to be functioning very well. But remember, that balance, both ways, It's really within your reach. It's in your hands. Avoid overproducing free radicals and make sure you have everything you need to produce a lot of antioxidants. You have it. I hate to see people coming here with deadly diseases that I know could have been prevented. Because one more thing I want to tell you is deadly diseases do not begin overnight. You don't have a heart attack in the last week. You don't have a stroke in the last month. You don't have diabetes in the last 3 days. No, that's the end of the line of something that started years ago. So it is years ago when you had to start preventing. Don't wait till you have the symptom. Might be too late. Stay with me. We're going to keep on talking about this, which becomes more exciting every minute. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital. And today I have been trying to answer a 13-year-old boy question. What is the link between broccoli and cancer? And I thought it was very important to answer him because I wanted to support his imagination, his interest in food. It's very rare that you see young people worried about that. And I was very pleased to hear that the question came because he heard it in school, that if you ate broccoli, you could avoid cancer. And he couldn't see the link. And then he thought, well, I have my uncle, Dr. Rodriguez. He always talks about this. He might have an answer. So this program is really trying to explain him why. But it's very important for everybody. Because we many times talk about these things. We talk about broccoli. We talk about antioxidants. You see it everywhere. You talk about vitamins, essential fatty acids. But it's very hard to find the connection. Why this really changes my life? Why this really is a benefit? If I'm going to eat a food that I don't particularly like, if I'm going to give up things that I love, like fries and soda pop, tell me why. First of all, I have to tell you, the reason we like soda pop and fries is because that's the way they educated us. And I count myself because I come from that generation where having fries and soda was cool. But it's not anymore because we now know better. And if you're a young person listening to me today, I want you to tell you that that is not cool. It's harmful, and you can pay with a lot of pain, suffering, and even your life doing that. So let's see what happens. What happens is that the life process produces a lot of good things. We can see, we can love, we can run, we can sleep, we can swim. There's so many things our body can do. But in the process produces waste products or byproducts that can be harmful. But we get rid of them through sweat, through breath, through urine, through bowel movements. We get rid of all that, so we continue to work very well. Our duty is to make sure we do not overproduce that waste material and that we support all the detoxification systems that we have built in our body that work with our food supply. If we can put those two things together and have a good balance between the waste we produce and the detoxification systems we have, we're going to be healthy and functional. If we overwhelm our body with free radicals and waste material, and we do not produce the substances we need because we eat very poorly, we're going to be sick and we're going to shorten our life. It's as simple as that. So we have to know that at this point, if you're a young person, or no matter how old you are, you have time to shift. You have to think again. Is the road I'm taking going to take me to a good, happy ending? If not, stop and shift. This is not the road I want to do. I am going to do this. I'm not going to make little concessions. I'm not going to be some little changes. Because you're not going to gain too much and you're going to suffer a lot. Shift altogether and say, this is gone, welcome the new. New year, new life. I'm going to open up my pantry and throw everything I shouldn't be there. Because I know all my antioxidant system depends on what I eat. And I need, we said, vitamin E and essential fatty acids and carotenes and vitamin C. All those are in fresh food. And if I smoke or drink, don't sleep well, don't exercise, don't take care of myself, eat too much sugar, gain weight, then I'm in the wrong side of the equation. I'm overwhelming my detoxification system. Very simple, I'm overwhelming it. So even if I have a good system, it's not working because this is just too much. It's too much of a burden that the body cannot cope with. The response is inflammation. The body starts getting inflamed. And that inflammation will switch a lot of the gene expression in our body. And genes that should be helping us to produce healthy protein and healthy cells and healthy everything start producing the wrong type of molecule, the wrong type of cell, start being more condescendent, so to speak, with abnormal behavior of cells. So that inflammation, those free radicals, are going to change the DNA, the very, very core of how we make cells. And we're going to start producing faulty cells. Not only that, but those free radicals are also going to block some of the immune capacity. Our immune system is not going to work well because we have inflammation along with it. And inflammation blocks the activity of the normal activity, I should say, of the immune system. So those faulty cells that we are producing can turn into cancer cells. And those cancer cells, because everything that I have said, are going to be better tolerated. The body is not going to attack them as it should. Nor the cell itself is going to detect its abnormality and destroy itself. The body has the capacity, every time we have the wrong cell, it destroys itself through a very complicated process called apoptosis. But forget that. Just know that when you do abnormal cells for any genetic mistake, the cell destroys itself. If not, the body will destroy it. That's why you can live for years without cancer. But if that system fails, we are going to create more and more cancer cells that are not going to self-destroy, that are going to be better tolerated, and through time, they're going to develop into a cancer, into the bad news, until the time where you sit at the desk with your doctor and the doctor tells you, I'm sorry to tell you, you have cancer here, you have cancer there. What are your options then? Your options are a hospital, a doctor, appointments, lots of money, lots of suffering, suffering for your whole family and everybody around you. But you had years before you reach that point, many years before you get to that point, to shift the road. Why don't you take the opportunity? So, I'm going to answer the question concisely and very clearly to my grandnephew. Broccoli, as many fresh vegetables, are going to be the foundation of the production of antioxidants that are going to destroy those waste substances your body produces and that can produce cancer. So broccoli, in the end, will block cancer in your body. I'll be with you next time. I hope you like the answer.